Right, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Supporting with Access to Benefits. I'm really excited to talk to you today about how you can help Canadians on a low income access benefits, and we're going to practice using the benefits Wayfinder together. So we're really excited. We've got a really large group today. It's great to see so many of you interested in helping people to address the benefits that they're entitled to. Before we move on, I just want to make sure that everyone can hear us okay and see the screen. Please continue to use the chat box and let us know if there are any issues. And please know that this session will be recorded and shared on our website, and we'll also provide you with a copy of the handouts from this session and the recording. All right, so let's begin. For those who aren't familiar with who we are, just a quick overview of Prosper Canada. Founded in 1986, we're a national charity and we're dedicated to expanding economic opportunity for Canadians living in poverty, and we do that through program and policy innovation. As Canada's leading national champion of financial empowerment, we work with government, business, and community partners to develop and promote financial policies, programs, and resources. We help service systems and organizations in all sectors to build proven financial empowerment approaches into their businesses in ways that are sustainable, help them achieve their goals, and tangibly increase the financial well-being of the low-income people they serve. Hopefully I'll be articulate today. I have a little bit of a cold, so if I stumble a little bit or need to drink some water, please bear with me. I want to begin today with a land acknowledgement, and I want to invite you to make your own land acknowledgement in the chat if you're calling in from other areas as well. So we begin by acknowledging that we are joining you from Toronto, which is situated upon traditional territories. The territories include the Wendat, Anishinaabeg Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and the Métis Nation. Toronto is in the Dish with One Spoon territory. The Dish with One Spoon is a treaty between the Anishinaabe, Mississaugas, and the Haudenosaunee that bound them to share the territory and protect the land. Subsequent Indigenous nations and peoples, Europeans, and all newcomers have been invited into this treaty in the spirit of peace, friendship, and respect. Today, the meeting place of Toronto is still home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community on this territory. And again, thank you so much. I see some acknowledgements shared in our chat. We appreciate that very much. So welcome. Again, my name is Jenny Bolton, and I'll be your facilitator for this session. And I want to thank my colleague Sharmeen Beg for joining us today and providing technical support. We have a big group today, so before we get started, it's always wonderful just to get to know each other a little bit and to find out where everybody is joining us from. So if you could, in the chat, please share your name and where you're coming from in Canada. Let's see who we have with us today. Okay, so we have somebody that is having trouble logging in. I'm seeing that. So Kira. Okay, so maybe Sharmeen can help with that. Sometimes if they can leave and come back, you can try that. All right, and let's take a look. We've got people from Canada, from New Brunswick, wonderful, from London, Ontario, Edmonton. Let's see, well, Shelburne, I've been there recently, Okanagan, BC, lovely, Nova Scotia, Kamloops, oh my gosh, from everywhere, Regina, Kingston, Windsor, Sussex, New Brunswick, fantastic. Oh, it's great to see such a vast representation across Canada. This is wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Please continue to share your name and where you're from in the chat. You might just see someone you know from another organization. It's always nice to come together. So just one other thing I want to let you know is that we're going to be using Mentimeter today. To engage using Mentimeter, you can either log in at menti.com and use the code that you see on the slide, or you can simply scan the QR code using your phone, and that should take you right to Mentimeter. Okay, I'm going to switch to that in just a moment. But I just want to keep this slide up so that you can access the QR code. And we're going to be doing a quick poll to see who you work with or who you hope to help with the benefits access. And of course, you can select more than one. So we're looking to find out what populations you support. So I'm going to share my screen in just a moment and demonstrate the Mentimeter, and we'll see in live time the populations that are being supported. Okay, so lots homeless or underhoused, people living with disabilities, seniors, children and youth, lots of other. If you've answered other and you want to share in the chat who that is, please do. Families with children, great. A real cross section, which is fantastic. Yeah, it's always just good to get a sense. See some newcomers, everyone on the list. Okay. We do have newcomers up there. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, and so again, if you can't access Mentimeter, just add into the chat your answers as well, then we'll be able to see it. So that's wonderful. Great. Thank you. I'll go back to the PowerPoint. All right, so thank you again for sharing it. It really is nice to have a sense of who's joining today and who they're serving. So what are we going to do today? Well, the purpose of today is to learn and practice the skills to support Canadians living on a low income to access benefits. And this starts with understanding your role in providing support. It also includes important skills like knowing how to start the conversation about benefits. So we're also going to review some of the tips for using the Benefits Wayfinder and give you some time to explore the tool yourself using some personas that we have. Today, I'm also going to give you a short overview of the Disability Benefits Compass, which is linked to the Benefits Wayfinder, or can also be accessed as a standalone tool. And then finally, we're going to provide you with some additional resources and training available to you. So these topics, along with more details on financial literacy, financial conversations, and how to use the Benefits Wayfinder, are also available through the Foundations of Access to Benefits online course. So if you've not taken this training and you're interested, we'll provide you with the information on this, along with some of the other resources at the end of the workshop. So we have about 1.5 hours together today, so we're going to get started. We often have a little bit of time left at the end, so we'll just take our time today and go through all of the different tools and resources that we have for you today. But before I go on, I just want to see if we have any other questions in the chat or anything else that we need to address technically before we get going. We're doing okay. It looks like we're okay. Wonderful. Good to see. Okay. So here's what else you can expect from today's workshop. We're going to be using a variety of different learning formats to give you a chance to engage with the content. So some of the activities will be completed together, like we've done with Mentimeter today. We'll do that in our larger group. And some of the things will be done as individuals. You're going to actually have some time to work alone today to practice navigating the Benefits Wayfinder and to experiment with how to integrate it into money conversations. And there's also some opportunity for you to reflect on your own personal experiences with money. And then, of course, the personas of the discussions and the practice activities really come to life when we're able to incorporate it into our personal experiences. So because of this, we want the session to be safe, inclusive, and fun. So please treat our time together with respect. And again, any questions you have throughout, just add them to the chat. One more important thing before we move on. Let's approach the content in today's workshop, knowing that the experiences, the values, and the emotions around money differ widely from person to person. So we know this from the people that we serve in our communities. Money can be a very sensitive topic. So we'll remember this as we work together today, and then we work with individuals in our community, our friends, or our family. We're going to start by exploring your role in helping the individuals you work with or support with accessing the benefits that they're entitled to, but potentially are not yet receiving. So, why does this really matter? Why does access to benefits support matter? I want you to take a moment and reflect. I want you to think about why access to benefits matters in our own lives. What impact do benefits have? If you have a child with a disability, you know that benefits matter. If you're caring for an aging parent, or saving for a child's education, or having difficulty paying your bills, benefits really matter. So now, think about someone living on a very low income. What impact can benefits have on an individual or family or someone living on a low income? So in a minute, we're going to do another Mentimeter activity. We're going to do a word cloud, and I just want to get your feedback. So I want you to share with me, what impact does benefits have on people, but not the obvious answer, which is of course money, but what impact does that more money have on their lives and their well-being? Okay, so I'm going to switch over to the Mentimeter, give you a little bit of time to reflect, and let's see what kinds of answers we get. And of course, you can also add that in the chat as well. Well, think about the impact, that extra money that's coming into a household. There we go. Some great words. Dignity, independence, better health. Sure. Stability, wellness, financial security. These are great. The ability to pay off debt, agency, respect, mental health. Yes, a huge, huge impact on mental health. Empowerment, education. These are great. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing. It's always inspiring when we see all of these words, right? It's sort of like, yeah, there's a reason we do this. Wonderful. Good. We'll try to remember to share that when we share back some of the materials, so you have a reminder of all the great things. I see some in the chat as well. Resilience, connection, community building, pride. These are great. Wonderful. Yeah, keep them coming. So we'll have that as a word cloud to share later. So thank you. Thank you for thinking about that and reflecting on that. We'll jump back to our presentation. All right, so I'm just going to highlight some of the most important aspects of access to benefits. And of course, this came out in the word cloud that we just did as well. But, individuals who receive benefit navigation support are more likely to be able to access all the benefits that they're eligible for. So by increasing an individual's access to benefits, you play a really key role in helping them to increase their income. Receiving benefits can also improve an individual's financial well-being and empower them to take control of their own financial situation. I saw a lot of words reflecting that in our cloud. And of course, increased benefits can also improve their overall quality of life. And this is because the stress of living in poverty can have an impact on all areas of one's life. So it's really great. Thank you for sharing, everyone. So how can people support individuals to access benefits? Excuse me. Access to benefits is a vital part of poverty reduction. So by integrating access to benefits into existing programs, such as social assistance, employment, housing, and other programs and services, excuse me, warned you that might happen, the outcomes are going to be improved. So there are three elements to supporting individuals with accessing benefits. The first is to identify an individual's eligibility for benefits. Many people living on a low income are not even aware that there are benefits that they could be receiving. Others may know about benefits, but don't believe that they're eligible. To identify eligibility, you can ask if an individual has heard about certain benefits, or using the benefits Wayfinder to identify potential benefits they're eligible for. The second step to supporting individuals is to guide them through the application process. Although the process must be led by the individual, you can help support their application. You can do this by making an action plan with them, by creating to-do lists for their application, or keeping them on track with check-in meetings. Helping with practical needs, such as completing applications, navigating online tools, printing, or mailing benefit applications, can also be very supportive. Lastly, you can support an individual to access benefits by referring them to additional support as required. Just remember, you're not required to have all the answers. Okay, it's totally okay and really important to refer them to an organization. So maybe have a list of trustworthy organizations and resources that you can refer them to. In this webinar, we're going to be focusing on the first element, so determining a person's eligibility and getting them started on their benefits application journey. Okay, does anyone have any questions before we move on? Again, please just use the chat box. All right, let's start about how to start the conversation about benefits. First, let's recognize there are many barriers facing the communities and people that we work with and support. Many people living on a low income, excuse me, have also experienced some form of financial or other trauma, which can lead to additional barriers to accessing benefits, information, and support. So a trauma-informed approach recognizes the impact that trauma can have on individuals. It aims to empower them by creating conditions of emotional and personal safety. To take a trauma-informed approach, follow these 5 principles. First, it's important to create a physically and emotionally safe environment. And one way to do this is to hold conversations in a private area. The second principle is to support autonomy and choice. For example, by ensuring the individual knows they are in control of all decisions in the benefits process. The third principle is to create collaborative relationships where the individual has a significant role in how the process unfolds. For example, the individual chooses how and when to search and apply for benefits, while you provide the tools and support the action. Next is to establish trust and boundaries. And one way you can do this is by reassuring the individual that their information will be kept confidential. Another is reminding them that they can stop the meeting or benefits application process at any time if they choose. And finally, it's important to use a strength and empowerment-focused approach. So acknowledging and validating participant feelings, experiences, values, and decisions is key. Okay. So keeping the trauma-informed approach in mind, let's look how we start a benefits conversation. The first step is to determine whether a benefits conversation would be useful for a person. And there are 3 screening questions that can help. They are, have you filed your taxes for the past 5 years? Number 2, have you recently experienced or are you coming up to a big life change? So this might include, having a child or retiring, for example. And third, do you have enough money to make ends meet? So a person's responses to these screening questions will indicate whether using the benefits Wayfinder and exploring benefits would be worthwhile. So for example, in question 1, if they've not filed their taxes, there may be benefits that they are missing out on and maybe don't even know about. Question 2, if they're coming up to a big life change, for example, having a baby, or maybe they've lost their job, there may be benefits that they're eligible for. And finally, question 3, if they don't have enough money to make ends meet, there are benefits they may qualify for. But on the other hand, if they filed their taxes, they aren't experiencing a life change, and they have enough money to make ends meet, it's much less likely that they'll find helpful benefits while using this tool. So in this case, you can sort of do a checkup and just make sure that they're receiving everything that they can. All right, so next we're going to talk about how we can use these screening questions in different kinds of conversations. So while every situation and every individual is unique, there are 3 common conversation pathways to introduce and discuss access to benefits. So if you're a frontline worker, the first generally takes place on the job. So maybe you're in a public situation and you're having a conversation with a community member who's seeking support, and maybe they're in a financially vulnerable situation. For example, maybe you're at a food bank and you're doing screening questions, or you're providing formula to a new mom, or providing employment and training supports to a newcomer, or you're in conversation with someone at a drop-in center. You get the idea. This person didn't come in prepared for a financial conversation. but by the tone of the conversation, you can tell that there's probably an opportunity. It could simply be a conversation that you're having at a coffee shop with a friend or family member as well who's struggling financially. So you're in a public space. The second is taking place in a more private space, in a one-on-one scheduled money conversation. And the third one, pathway 3, takes place in a related field. So, for example, in healthcare, or you're speaking with a person who's incarcerated, or you're providing housing services. So you are in a one-on-one private meeting, but again, the person did not come with the purpose of discussing money. So again, I want to do a quick poll. I'm just really curious as to which pathway you would most likely find yourself in when interacting with community members. So think about your own context. Which pathway would you find yourself in? And I'm going to just go back to our Mentimeter. I'm going to share our screen. See where you think you might be engaging with people. Okay. Seeing a lot of people in that public situation. Okay. And there might be some in the chat as well. Okay. Lots of people saying, yeah, number 3, financial counseling, or it might be, you might have a couple of different fields, different situations. All right. Great. Okay. Good to know. So many are in the public on the job situation. Okay. Thank you for sharing. We'll go back. All right. So let's take a look at each pathway. So in pathway 1, you are in a public place. So you need to be sensitive and you need to respect the person's privacy. So you're going to want to ask closed questions and leave more detailed discussions to when you can have a one-on-one meeting. So you may want to open the conversation with things like, we could explore benefits that you might be eligible for. Would you be interested in? If willing, you can ask the following screening questions. So, have you filed your taxes for the past 5 years? Have you recently experienced or are you coming up to a big life change? Or number 3, have you enough money to make ends meet? If appropriate, you can ask if they would be interested in exploring benefits. And if willing, you may want to set up a more private one-on-one meeting with them. Okay, so that's how you can approach when you're in pathway 1 in a public situation. For pathway 2, because you're already talking finances and you're already in a one-on-one private meeting, you can ask the screening questions as part of the broader financial conversation. You can consider open-ended questions about improving their financial situation or increasing their income. If the participant identifies a need for increased income, you can ask if they're interested in checking for benefits. And then you can proceed based on the participant's interest. And finally, for pathway 3, so remember, we're now working in a related field, so maybe it's settlement or maybe it's healthcare, and you're in a one-on-one meeting, so it is private. So in this kind of a situation, you can ask open-ended questions to identify the individual stressors. You can see if there's a need for increased income and share that there may be benefits that can help. Okay. So again, it's those screening questions. Have you filed your taxes for the past 5 years? Have you experienced or are coming up to a big life change? And do you have enough money to make ends meet? Okay. If it makes sense to explore further, you can set up a dedicated meeting to do so. So you can see there's lots of similarities between the 3, but just a little bit of a different approach to each one. Again, wanting to make sure that we keep the person feeling safe, feeling comfortable. Okay. So let's do a quick review and some of the tips for all of the pathways. What's really important is that you set realistic expectations. You want to avoid saying things like, you'll probably be eligible for, right? We don't want to raise their expectations. We want to go through the process and remain realistic as to what they are going to be eligible for. It's always a process. And to be productive, the process must be led by the individual. So you should only start the conversation about access to benefits if the individual indicates that they are interested. And remember, your role is to support the process. Okay, so you're never going to be directly advising or pressuring an individual to consider benefits. And again, any questions as to what we're covering, please just share them in the chat. So for those of you who have taken the online course or participated in a recent public demo, you may already be familiar with the Benefits Wayfinder tool. But I'm now going to take some time to demonstrate the different ways that it can be used in money conversations. If you want further detail on using the tool, we do have previously recorded webinars that go into greater detail on our Learning Hub. So just a quick introduction before I switch gears and actually give you a demo. The Benefits Wayfinder, I'm sure some of you have seen it before, but it's a tool that helps individuals identify and apply for benefits that they're eligible for. And it works by providing a list of personalized benefits an individual may be eligible for based on their own personal circumstances. So users can view a particular benefit's eligibility and ID requirements, the application process, and more. And they can organize all of this on what we call a dashboard. Those that are most likely to discover new benefits with the Benefits Wayfinder are those living on a low income, newcomers, those approaching or experiencing a major life event, and those who have never filed their taxes before, and actually some who have maybe not receiving any common starting benefits as well. That's who's going to find the most benefit from using this tool. So in just a moment, I'm going to give you a walkthrough of how to use the various features of the Benefits Wayfinder. And then you're going to have a chance on your own after this demonstration. There is a video about the Benefits Wayfinder and how to navigate it, and that will be available to you and shared in the resources at the end of the workshop. And again, if you have any questions as you go through this, please share. There's one thing I definitely want to note, however, and that is we are not benefit experts. So Sharmeen and I, we can help you with the tool. We can help with a lot of things, but we sometimes get some very detailed questions in the chat about benefits. But I still want you to put them in there because what we find is we have a very strong community here, and sometimes the question gets answered by one of the other participants. So don't hesitate to still put that question out there. The other thing is, if you put it into the chat, it's something that we can circle back with. For us, it's always interesting to see what kinds of questions people have. So even if we can't answer them today, put them in there, and we can certainly talk with some of our other staff who may have that level of expertise. All right, so in just a moment, I'm going to go to the tool. It'll just take me a moment to switch screens, and let's go. All right, can we see it now, Sharmeen? Just give me a moment to grab a drink. All right, here goes. So this is the homepage of the Benefits Wayfinder. One thing I will note is that when you actually first open up the page, it will ask you what province you're in. But of course, I've already got everything set up. So as you can see up at the top here, I have it set for Ontario, but I could click this and change the province, just so you know. Okay. All right. So as you can see at the top, there are several ways to access the information. So we have questionnaire, which is what we're going to focus on in just a moment, starting points, and browse all benefits. We're going to just be looking at the questionnaire and the starting point features today. And I'm going to begin with the questionnaire. There's 13 questions that you can go through, and we're going to do that today, and then you're going to get a chance to do that with one of the personas. Before I complete it with you, though, I just want to know a few important things. So one of the things that often comes up is some people are not comfortable sharing their personal information online. And so if that's the case, you can use a different means of exploring. So if the person doesn't seem comfortable using the questionnaire, I would suggest using starting points instead. Okay, and I'll give a demo of that in just a moment as well. The other thing to note is you don't have to answer every question. You do have the ability to skip the questions, But the more questions the individual answers, the more specific benefit recommendations that they'll receive. So the more that you answer, benefits are not going to be removed from the dashboard, only added. Okay. The other thing is you can move back and forth. So if you think you made an error, you can go back and change it. And you can also review all of your answers before you submit. Okay. If you're completing this questionnaire with a client or an individual, and they're approaching that life change, so maybe they're about to have a baby, you want to enter the information as if they're already experiencing it, okay? Or if they're approaching retirement, for example, you would want to enter the income that they will have once they're retired. Okay, so let's do the benefits Wayfinder questionnaire together. I'm going to do it kind of randomly, so I always do it differently every time. The first one, though, I'm going to answer is, are you up to date on filing your taxes? I'm going to say no. It's going to ask your age. It's going to ask what is your citizenship or immigration status. So again, I'll select anything today. Let's see what happens. How much money does everyone in your household together make in 1 year? So they're looking at the household income. Okay. How many people live in your home, including yourself? Do you care for any children under 18 years of age? Where do you live? Renting, social housing, own home, or looking for a place? Are you pregnant or expecting a child? Length of stay in Canada since age 18. Are you, your parent, or your spouse a Canadian veteran? Do you have a parent or spouse who had lived in Canada and passed away? And there we go. So as you can see, you answer them and you can go back and edit if need be. And you just check everything over before you submit. And once you submit, I don't want to make you dizzy and go too quickly. There we go. Once you submit, there we go. We get a dashboard. And this one has found 19 recommended benefits. It says 7 of them you will need to apply for when you're filing your taxes. 3 of them you would need to apply for separately, and 9 of them does not require tax filing. Okay, so I'm going to go to my dashboard. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at what happens here. So recommended benefits are always a really good starting point, but you still need to go through all of the benefits on your own, okay? And there's different ways of organizing all of this. So for example, I can do it alphabetically, by priority, ones that don't require tax filing. So whatever way you want to organize them, okay? There's other things that you can do. If, for example, you've already seen it, you can mark it as seen. If it's something here that's high, medium, high, or low priority for you, you can add it to the list of benefits you're already receiving so that it gets removed from the list. You can just remove it as you'd like, but you can always undo all of those things up here. Okay, you can undo those as well. Okay, so there's lots of opportunities to move things around, change it up a little bit. You'll notice that they have every benefit is sort of labeled in a way. So, whether it's easy or hard or complicated application, again, whether or not you need to apply for it when filing your taxes, and identification required. So each one might be a little bit different. Okay. So let's take a look at one of the benefits and you'll get a better sense of the kind of detail it provides. So this is the Canada Carbon Rebate. Okay, so it's an easy application. It'll tell you what kind of identification we need. There's always the link to the actual government website. We always have that right here. So if I clicked on that, that would take me to that website. Okay, there's always some updates at the beginning. And then all of them will have a similar format, which is you can click on to determine your eligibility, the identification that is needed, and how you need to apply. The type of feedback that we've received from this that's been really great is that it's so helpful because everything's in one place and it's in plain language. And what happens is you start to see that it's all presented in a similar way. So hopefully it makes it really simple for people to get the information they need. They don't have to go to all different websites to find it, and it's set out in a logical way for them to move through. All right. So as you explore this, you still may go through your dashboard and find that some of them you're not eligible for, and that's okay. So you just remove them. They would rather give you them and allow you to see them than not. So sometimes you will still find that some are you're not fully eligible for. And one of the other things that I want to share with you is that if you're working with a client on this, you can go to the dashboard, and a couple of things that you can do. You can share this information, so you can save the session, and you could send this to multiple email addresses. So if you want to send it to that individual and you want to keep it for yourself as well for the next time that you meet, you actually just put a little comma in between. It'll allow you to send it to more than one email address. If the person that you're working with has maybe low digital literacy, you maybe don't want to share it with them. This might not be comfortable for them, so you could print it out for them. So it has the ability to print, or you could send them a PDF copy of it. Okay, so there's lots of ways to get them the information. At the end, you can share with them that you can clear that session, so everything will be cleared so that you're ready to use it again with someone else. Okay, so that'll remove all the filters and clear the dashboard. Okay, a couple of other things that I want to highlight. There is a help page. So if I go to the help page, these are a list of agencies, okay, where you can get support. So if somebody wants some support filling out some of their application forms, or they have some questions, these agencies can help. And if you think your agency should be on this list, please reach out to us. We would love to add it if that's something that you provide as well. Okay. The other thing that I want to share with you is we also have an agency portal, and there's lots of other great resources here as well. If you're an organization that's just getting into helping others with access to benefits, we have a tool called Bridge to Benefits, which has all kinds of best practices and information for organizations. So if you're a manager or an organization wanting to learn more, you can click there. It will take you to that tool. We also have all kinds of other things here, like an action plan template. There's some key benefits that you can download. There's always sort of really common benefits that most people are eligible for. There's some worksheets, some links to some other online tools. One of our ones is Making the Most of Your Money, which is a free tool to help people learn about things. So all kinds of resources here as well for you to explore. Okay. So again, any questions, but also you'll get a chance to play around with it a little bit when we do our personas. Okay. All right. So the next one, I'm going to just take us back now, and we're going to play. And then I'll do a demonstration of the starting points. I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to go back. Okay. All right, so now that we've learned how to start the conversation about benefits, a little bit on the navigation of the tool, and how to use it in different situations, it's your time to practice. So for this activity, you're going to practice using the Benefits Wayfinder to find benefits that people might be eligible for based on their personal circumstances. So this is a really informal activity. You're going to use these personas in a safe environment. You're just going to get to play around. You don't have to share anything afterwards, other than maybe you can tell us a couple of the benefits that you found. Feel free to create your own persona as well. I'm going to share one with you, but maybe there's a particular client group that you normally serve or support, and you'd rather just do some exploring based on them. So this is the persona that I've put together for you that we can share, and then Sharmeen will share the link. There we go. Thank you, Sharmeen. All right, so let's just review it as a large group. So in this case, we have Sergio. He's 33 years old. He's a newcomer in Canada, a temporary resident. He lives in Fergus, Ontario, where he's renting. His income level is $40,000 per year, where he's working full-time as a chef, and he has not filed Canadian taxes before. So using this information, I'm going to have you just answer the questions in the questionnaire on the Benefits Wayfinder and see what benefits become recommended for Sergio. Now, there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to have to just pretend, and we did that on purpose. So I didn't want to make it that everybody kind of did the exact same thing. This really is just an opportunity for you to play and explore. So yes, as you go through the questionnaire, there'll be a lot of things that aren't answered on this slide about Sergio, so you can just infer and create your own backstory for Sergio. Okay. Okay, I think I just have a few more instructions here, but then I'll put that slide back on. Okay, so here we go. So on your own, you're going to search for benefits for Sergio using the questionnaire. And as you'll see at the top of this slide, that's where you click on the questionnaire, okay? And the next time we'll use starting points. You're going to open your browser, get ready to use the tool. I'll put the persona back up onto the screen and then maybe take about 5 minutes or so to use the Benefits Wayfinder and see what benefits you find for Sergio. And then we're going to come back and we'll share our findings again in the Mentimeter. So it'll just be, I'll put the screen up and you can add one or two of the benefits that you found. So we have about a total of 5 to 10 minutes to do the entire activity. Okay. If anybody has any questions, please put them in the chat and we'll come back together in about 5 to 7 minutes. Probably about 5 minutes should be enough. All right, we'll see you soon. I'll put that other slide back up so you can hear about Sergio. Hi, everyone. You can keep searching. I've just put the Mentimeter up so that you can add some of your answers there. People have been putting them in the chat as well, which is great. One thing I'll let you know is that this is updated every 6 months. So I think I see, question mark, is that particular benefit still available? Every 6 months, we go through a very thorough review of all of the benefits, which, as you can imagine, is quite a timely process. Something that we often get our new staff to assist with. It helps them to learn a lot about all of the benefits that are available. So we've all had our opportunity to do it before, but it's things do change so quickly sometimes. So it's also important, if there's one that you're questioning, then do a little bit of a deeper dive, check in with the government website to make sure in case things have changed. But we really do try to keep it up to date. And a couple other things that are new and interesting is, we are trying to add a couple of municipalities too. So right now it's, of course, provincial, territorial, and federal benefits, but you'll see there's some municipalities we're starting to work with as well. Okay, I'm taking a look at the Mentimeter. It's looking great. We're getting all different ones. And again, it may differ, again, depending on how you answered some of the other questions. But the whole point of this activity is just to get you guys to be hands-on, taking a look at the tool, getting a sense of how it works, and just learning a little bit about all those benefits. Great. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to go back. Actually, that should share right there. Can you see the benefits Wayfinder, Shameen? We're good. Okay, good. All right, so I just want to now quickly share with you the second way of looking for benefits, and that's starting point. So if you can see here, we did the questionnaire, and now we're doing starting points. And so this filter narrows down results for people with specific needs. So if you were working with someone, you could just ask them a question and find out if they're part of a special group associated with one of the starting points. So, are you a senior? Are you a newcomer to Canada? So it's just a way of again, especially if someone's not comfortable putting in their personal information through a questionnaire, if they're just looking for housing support or if they're looking for disability support. If they're looking for disability support, probably the Disability Benefits Compass is also great, which I'll be sharing with you in a little bit. If you're a senior, so as you can see, then the benefits are just organized in that way, okay? A participant might be part of a numerous groups, right? So therefore you can use multiple starting points for them and explore some of the benefits. And just, they may be missing out on things. So it's important to ask the questions and to go through them with them. Some benefits are common benefits, which means that if an individual receives these, they're eligible for other related benefits, such as Ontario Works. And so you can actually, let me get back to starting points. You can actually get to those. See, it says already receiving benefits. So one benefit may lead to another. And so if these are some of the benefits that somebody's already receiving, and you click yes, that one could unlock 7 other benefits. So that's another way to explore them. The third way that we're not going to really get into today, because it's pretty simple, is just the browse all benefits. So if there's a particular benefit that you want to learn more about, you just enter it in and search, or you can play around with the filters here as well, right? So you can see, you can check off which province or territory you want to search. As you can see, we have one city now, we have Waterloo. You can filter by whether or not you need to file your taxes or not, on the application difficulty, and then there's some other tags as well. So there's lots of different ways that you can access this information. All right, good. Okay, so you're going to now do a persona using starting points. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to give you one more situation. Lots of back and forth. All right. Okay, so we're going to use the starting points and see what benefits that we can find for Rabia. So Rabia is 19 years old. She is a citizen in Canada, I put her as any town Canada, and that's because I want you to maybe pick your own province so you can find out some of the benefits in your province. Income level, $23,000 per year, working part-time as a server, has only been eligible to file taxes for 1 year, but did not file last year. Again, you can just play around and check out some other things as well. But let's see what kinds of things that you might find for Rabia using starting points. So this one probably won't take as long. We'll just go for, 3 or 4 minutes, and then we'll come back. I'll also move forward the Mentimeter so you can add some of the things that you find in the Mentimeter. Okay. Hi, everyone. Feel free to add some of the things you're finding for Rabia in our Mentimeter. Again, it'll vary depending on what you search. But again, just getting you familiar with the tool. There was a great question from Lily about the average time to complete applications to the various benefits and what is important to have on hand when you're applying. Huge question because it really varies. Of course, it's going to vary very much on what benefit you're applying for. And that's kind of where we have that code, right? Some of them are very easy. Some of them are very complex. The complex ones, of course, are going to take more time. Some of them, as we know, if you've ever worked with someone or even applied for your own benefits, some things require all different kinds of documentation. Others are simply received because you filed your taxes. So it's a tough question to answer, but it's a really good question, right? Because as you're trying to prepare to help support someone, you kind of have to have a good sense of what kind of level of support they're going to need. And that's why there's also that agency portal. So for that more complex, there are organizations that can actually help. So they have that expertise. It can be pretty complicated. So sometimes you might need to reach out and get that. All right. I'm just seeing a few other questions if I can answer them. When we enter the amount of annual income in the questionnaire, does the system consider income level and eligibility for some benefits linked to the income level? I think so. I think if I'm understanding your question correctly, but I can circle back with that one as well. All right. Great. Okay. So we get a sense there's lots of opportunities. And again, you always have to dig a little bit deeper, um, and find out all the details, but it opens up, and that's what's important, right? Opens up the ability to start to explore and to work with someone to sort of see if there's the opportunity for them to access that benefit. Okay, excellent. I'm going to stop sharing, go back to my presentation. Thank you for your patience with my back and forth. All right. Oops, went too fast. So now we're going to take a look at another tool. So you get a little bonus today. We're going to look at the Disability Benefits Compass as well. So you can get to the Disability Benefits Compass from the Benefits Wayfinder. There's a couple of places where it is linked, but it's also a standalone tool. And we'll share that in the chat in just a moment as well. So disability benefits are so much more complex, and this tool was created in partnership with Plan Institute, Disability Alliance BC, and the SRDC to help improve the navigation of key disability benefits. So essentially, it's a deeper dive into these benefits with more tips and suggestions for how to apply. So it has plain language, and it was designed by people living with a disability and support staff. And within each step are tips, examples, frequently asked questions, resources, and challenges that you might encounter, and who to contact for help. I was always blown away by this one when I first saw it because just that level of detail that it provides, and again, it's all those tips and tricks that are really important when you're trying to navigate this. You can also find out what to expect after you apply and the next steps to take if your application is approved and denied, because many times when you're applying for disability benefits, your application is denied the first time. This tool has the three main federal benefits. So it has the Disability Tax Credit Certificate, the Canada Pension Plan Disability Benefit, or CPPD, the Registered Disability Savings Plan, RDSP, plus one provincial and territory disability assistance benefit. The Disability Benefits Compass can be used by caregivers, by family members, by volunteers, and organizations who provide access to benefits support. So I'm going to give you a short overview of the Compass right now. Again, I am not a disability expert. I can't speak to the benefits and the complexity of them themselves, but certainly we can help you link to organizations that can, should you have questions. Okay, so here we go. All right. So this is the home page for the Disability Benefits Compass. Couple things that you can do to get started. You can just view some of the key benefits. So as I mentioned, there are key benefits both federally and provincially. So this one has the ODSP because I'm in Ontario. And of course, it has the other three Canadian ones. Okay, so that's one quick way to get to the key benefits. All right, I can also click on Help Getting Started, which will give me a little bit of an overview on how to use this website. Okay, there's also a video with ASL on how to use it. Okay. And at the bottom, there's also a helpful glossary when we're dealing with benefits. I don't want to make you dizzy here, but there's a great glossary here of all of the different definitions because it can get a little bit complex as well. There's some resources, again, places where you can go for help. So organizations that you can email or call that can help you. Okay. So there's lots of great resources here. If I go back to our homepage, again, there's a link to an ASL caption video on how to start, and there's also some website instructions that you can read. We've tried to make this as accessible as we can. Okay, it's in English and French, as is the Benefits Wayfinder. Okay, and one of the things I just wanted to show you that I think is really impressive is some of these resource tiles at the bottom of the page. And this will take you to some really interesting information on things like if your application is denied, how to find a doctor, which can be so difficult these days. And so if you're trying to apply for this benefit, one of the first things you need is a doctor. Sample letters for your doctor to make it easier for them, questions to ask when opening an RDSP and other topics like that. So, so here, for example, if your application is denied, and as you go through all of the different tabs, there's lots of details. Okay. There's the sample letter. Maybe you don't have your social insurance card number. How do I get that? So a lot of these things, sometimes it can be a barrier if people don't have the right identification. So it has some things for that as well. Okay. So these are really, really helpful. And then I want to take you to let's go to the Canada Disability Benefit, and I'll just show you how each one of them is set up. So similar to the Benefits Wayfinder, we kind of have this pattern. Okay. So, you'll always have a little bit of a introduction, but then there's sections out. So you have an introduction to the benefit, whether or not you're eligible. So what are the eligibility requirements? And as you can see, you can move back and forth between this. So the next one would be on how to apply. And it goes into quite detailed steps, actually, right? So it'll actually take you through and ask you sort of yes and no and help you to navigate. Okay. And then after you apply, what's going to happen, whether it's approved or not. Okay. We'll go back to eligibility. Oh, I should go forward. It's okay. Then frequently asked questions. So there's always some frequently asked questions because there's lots of questions when you're applying for disability things. So how does your income affect it? When do you receive your payments? What happens if you get an overpayment? Like all of these different kinds of things. It goes into a lot of detail. That's what really impresses me. And of course, some resources. So you can reach out to Disability Alliance Canada, Plan Institute, those who are really experts in this field. So there's just so much information here. And if you're looking for support through this, you can again get help, refer people to other agencies, visit those resource sections, do your homework. There's lots and lots of information here. And we really just encourage you to take some time to review all of that. The last thing I just want to share is the help tab. Okay, this is a list of agencies that can assist you with these benefits. They're here to help fill out applications and answer questions. Okay, so again, if you know of an organization that could be added here, please email us and let us know. And it's really important that we can get this information out there. All right, so any questions, let us know. I'm going to jump back to my presentation. We just have a few more things, and I want to make sure that we also have some time to answer questions that people may have. All right. So for both the Benefits Wayfinder and the Disability Benefits Compass, there are several ways that you can use the tools with community members. Actually, a lot of organizations say that they use it as a resource for themselves to find out more information about specific benefits, or some organizations include it in their onboarding for staff to help them to learn about common benefits. So it's a really great tool for that as well. The Benefits Wayfinder can be used with community members and help them explore benefits that are available to them, or as a benefits checkup, like I mentioned. So maybe just just a quick tune-up. Let's see if we've got everything that you need. For someone with a disability, the Disability Benefits Compass can really help them navigate that application process, right? It can really add that support. Both tools are a really great way to encourage money conversations at a tax clinic or maybe in a follow-up appointment separate from a tax clinic. So it could be a way to provide tips to people applying for the benefits, especially on the DBC, which has all of those great details that can take them through the application process. So find the way that works best for you. There's probably lots of different ways that you might choose to use it, but just know that it's there for you and that there's lots of great information. And that if you ever have anything to add or anything to share that we could put on there, I will mention something really important actually while I have all of you here is one of the things we're about to do is to audit and take a look at the Benefits Wayfinder and make sure that it is useful for Indigenous communities and populations. So if anyone works with access to benefits with Indigenous communities, we are looking for people to sort of act as auditors and review it for us and provide some input on how we can make it better. So we have a year-long project to do that. If anyone feels that they could add some value or would be interested in learning more about that, I'll put my email in the chat. Please reach out to me and we can get you involved. There we go. Okay. Oh, I see a question there. Do we have promotional materials to distribute? We do have some postcards sometimes. So if there's a conference, I don't know how many we have left at this moment, but we think we have some that you could print as well. I'll circle back with that as there's ways that you can share it. Oh, thank you, Sharmeen. You put it in there already for me. All right. So now I want to switch gears again and just tell you about some of the other resources that we have available to you. I did highlight some of these in the demo. So these ones are specific to the Benefits Wayfinder, the help section, the agency portal. There's actually a supporting client intake, triage, and referral tip sheet that you can download as well. And if you want an entire guide to take you through this, we do have a support guide as well that you can download. Okay. So depending on an individual's needs and their situation, sometimes it's in their best interest to refer a person to another organization or service that can provide more specialized support. So you can find some of those there. That could be a tax clinic or an ID clinic or other kinds of community support. And as I mentioned earlier, it's really important to build that referral network, right, of trusted individuals and organizations that you can send people to get specialized support if they need it. All right. Okay, so please take some opportunity to review some of those. And I want to just share with you a couple of other things. We're always here to promote some of our other tools and resources as well. We want to get the word out. And we have a couple of other new tools. One is the Braiding Mind, Body, and Spirit. This one's kind of hot off the press. We're really excited about, and it's a financial wellness bundle to help Indigenous families and individuals who are in receipt of settlement payments. There will be a webinar coming up, which we've got the link there as well on October the 7th to share the tool. We'll have a couple of people who have been involved in the process share some of the activities with us. Okay. We also have the Dollars Seen Differently podcast. So all of these can be found on our Learning Hub as well. So just please take a moment and research some of the other resources that we have available. So many of them are free and can be accessed for you to use within your communities. And if you had a large group that you wanted to dig a little bit deeper into the Benefits Wayfinder, we also have our team here that would be willing to do a demo for that as well. All right. Okay, so we're almost done. And before I begin to wrap up, I just want to make sure if anybody has any questions about what was shared today, please feel free to add them to the chat and we can review some of those. And I want to just quickly review how important it is that you, as frontline workers or people supporting community members, you really have a unique opportunity to support people with access to benefits. Think back to that word cloud that we did at the beginning, right? It really does make an impact on people's lives. So, remember to to assess the setting that you're in and thinking about those pathways and the individual that you're working with, and consider using those those three opening questions to bring up the topic of benefits, and just look for those opportunities in whatever situation that you're in. Finally, the benefits wayfinder can be used in different ways, and it can help you to identify and organize benefits that an individual can be eligible for, depending on what they're most comfortable sharing or using. Right. So hopefully this has given you some tips and tricks for getting that conversation started, and some great resources that we can share. I want to thank you really so much for attending today. We really hope that you enjoyed it. I want to thank Shameen for supporting TechWise. She's always a great support. And we would really love it if you could provide your feedback on today's session. So we're going to put a link into our survey. We're always looking to improve and add new things. And just noting that the Benefits Wayfinder was developed by Prosper Canada, but sponsored by TD Bank Group and supported by Maple Leaf Centre for Action on Food Security. So we really appreciate your time and all the contributions that you made today. Hope that we'll see you again soon, but we're going to stay on. I always like to make sure, sorry, I almost made it to the end. I always like to make sure we have time for some questions as well.